Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Classic Vinyl Podcast. I am Justin, and I'm here with my co-host Tyler.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I have been so good tonight.
Are you ready for this song today?
You know what? I didn't think I was, but I am now.
Of course, today we're doing James Gang and Funk number 49.
It really is the bass that gives the funk, isn't it?
I don't know. I think it's guitar. I think this is a straight guitar song, my opinion, but
Fair.
let me give you a little history on the James Gang. They're an American rock and roll band formed in Cleveland, Ohio in 1966. The band's been explained as hard rock, blues rock, funk rock, whatever you want to call it. It's just good rock and roll music, in my opinion. The band was originally formed by drummer Jim Fox, and there was multiple lineups and different members coming and going for quite a while with Jim Fox. But once they got to the power trio of the first original lineup of the James Gang, it consisted of Joe Walsh on guitar and vocals, Tom Criss on bass, and Jim Fox on drums. Now, Joe Walsh joined the band in early 1968, and of course, this power trio recorded their debut album. Your Album was the name of it, and it was released in March of 1969. Tom Criss left the band in November of 69 and was replaced by a guy called Dale Peters. Now, one thing about this band is Pete Townsend really liked this band. Well, they opened a few shows for The Who, and he invited them to tour with them in England in 1970. So that really propelled the band, the James Gang, to success as opening for The Who.
I'm guessing that the band's name is a reminiscence of Jesse James.
That I don't know. You're going to have to get a hold of Jim Fox and ask him.
But it sounds like he's kind of hard to get along with because he just kept like a revolving door on that band.
Yeah, I think anybody in a band is kind of hard to get along with after a while.
But but I mean, to his credit, he's just trying to find the best person for each job, right?
That could be it, yeah. James Gang, although they were never one of the hugest bands by any means, they haven't sold a ton of records. There's a couple of their songs you still hear in heavy radio play today. But they did open up for a lot of big bands. One of them, like I said, was The Who. You've got Grand Funk Railroad, The Kinks, Three Dog Night, Led Zeppelin, a bunch of others. But that helped their exposure. But they were really only kind of an opening band. It was kind of a beginning band. It really propelled Joe Walsh, obviously, into what he would later do, because Joe Walsh left the band at the end of 1971, mainly due to the pressures of writing and singing everything for the band. He really didn't want to do it all anymore, especially as a power trio, which I think became pretty tough when he was playing lead guitar, rhythm guitar, and vocals. So that becomes pretty tough. But he eventually recorded a ton of stuff solo. There's still quite a few of his solo songs that are played on the radio. And then, of course, he joined the Eagles and has been a big part of the Eagles ever since.
Well, he may as well perform solo if he's going to do everything himself anyway.
I agree.
Fine.
James Gang replaced Joe Walsh with singer Roy Kenner and guitarist Dominic Troiano. And Tommy Bolin, who actually ended up in Deep Purple later on, replaced Troiano shortly after that. So there's been all kinds of lineups even later, and there was many lineups after that, but nothing that had any kind of success as they did while Joe Walsh was with the band during their first three albums. The band officially broke up in 1977. The original lineup reunited a few times in the 90s and early 2000s, and they also reunited in 2022 for a tribute concert for Taylor Hawkins, the drummer for the Foo Fighters, who passed away. So the band, all in all, has released a total of 9 studio albums from 1969 to 1976, 1 live album, and only 3 compilation albums, which is real low on the list, what we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
Their top album in the U.S. was their second album, James Gang Rides Again, which this song is off of. That album hit number 20, and it hit as high as number 13 in Canada. I didn't find any chart history on them in the UK, so not sure what's going on there. They did release a total of 16 singles from 1969 to 1976, with Walk Away being their top hit in the U.S. It reached number 51 in the charts. Funk 49, the song we're doing today, hit 59 in the U.S. and was their top hit in Canada, hitting number 26. They're definitely not one of the largest bands of all time, but they've got some really decent jam music. They've sold about 3 million albums total worldwide. The James Gang isn't one of the bands that I think when people think classic vinyl or the big bands of the 60s or 70s or 80s, they're never going to be named. But I would say Funk 49 and Walk Away are 2 songs that are still classic rock staples to this day on any kind of classic rock radio.
Oh, for sure. And this is definitely popular amongst the hippies.
Yeah. So do you want to get to the song review?
I do.
And now it's time for the song review.
Okay, Tyler, Funk 49 by the James Gang. What's your history with this song?
Yeah, my history with this song, I've heard it quite a bit on the radio. This does get a lot of radio play. Never would have known it by the name, Funk 49. But that's where I come from. What's your history with this one, Justin?
It's funny you say that because I think James Gang is probably a group that most casual fans have never even heard of. Even if you said the name, they probably wouldn't know it. They probably wouldn't know the name of this song because it's not mentioned in here. It's a throwaway title. Their other big hit, Walk Away, that's still played quite often. It is more familiar and you kind of know the name of the song, but I still think the band name, James Gang, just was not a huge band. I think when people say Joe Walsh, a lot more people are going to know Joe Walsh, but still casual fans, I don't even know if they'd know him. They may know some of what he's done in the Eagles, but that's probably it. As far as my history with this song, it's kind of been on my, view for years. I've always loved the song. It's kind of interesting from this band is, what's the way to say it? As big as a hit as they weren't. And they didn't sell a ton of records. They weren't really together a long time, didn't have any impact with the exception of a little bit of impact while Joe Walsh was there. I mean, their top charting song was number 51 on the charts. And I think this song nowadays is probably rated higher than that.
I'll bet that's right.
Which is kind of funny that these two songs, Funk 49 and Walk Away, have endured that time. But yeah, it's a good song, and I've always enjoyed it. I enjoy that it's very heavily guitar driven, because if you've listened to this podcast, you know that's generally what I get into. But let me give you a little history on the song Funk 49. So obviously this was written primarily by Joe Walsh with help from Jim Fox and Dale Peters. It was released on August 15th of 1970. The B-side was a song called Thanks. It was recorded at the record plant in New York City and produced by the James Gang and Bill Szymczyk. Now, Szymczyk is spelled Szymczyk, but I believe it's pronounced Szymczyk. And
It's Polish.
And Szymczyk is producer, has produced a lot of famous bands, obviously the James Gang, Joe Walsh, the Eagles, Jay Giles Band, many, many others. I think B.B. King. He's been involved producing music for a number of years, but this was the first single off the band's second studio album, James Gang Rides Again. There was actually a song on their first album with a throwaway title that was called Funk Number 48. And that title really had no meaning to the song. It was, like I said, a throwaway. And they figured since this one really didn't have meaning and it was derived as a guitar song, it was basically built off of the guitar riff. They just thought, well, let's just call this Funk 49.
I wonder if they didn't expect this song to become as popular as it did.
I don't know. It's definitely got a very, very recognizable guitar riff in it. And
if that's the case, then this is definitely a case of one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah. Well, another funny thing is on Joe Walsh's 2012 album, Analog Man, he actually wrote and released another song called Funk 50. So we're up to 50 already. But this song had moderate success. It hit number 59 in the U.S., number 26 in Canada. But like I was stating earlier, it has since become somewhat of a classic rock and roll radio staple. And it gets a ton of radio airplay still to this day. Joe Walsh has said that the guitar lick is really what come first, and most of this song is instrumental. It's a pretty heavily instrumental song, which I really enjoy. And he says the words just came through and they really have no meaning. Just, I guess, fit it, however. So he does say it was about a girlfriend whose wild ways cannot be tamed by her man. I guess that's what it's supposed to mean. But this song, I was looking up before we started recording, this song's been used in more movies, TV shows, and video games than you can possibly imagine. So there's probably a lot of people out there that know this song, know the guitar riff. They just don't know who sings it or who it's from, which is almost tragic nowadays. But what are your thoughts after hearing the James Gang Funk 49?
Well, it opens right away with the very iconic funky riff. And this is kind of your iconic go-to funk song, so I can see why they use it in movies left and right. Because if you want like a song that's about strutting, bow, down, bow, that's what you're getting is this riff that sets up a a real strutting kind of beat. And so that's where you see it a lot in the media. This song kind of opened my eyes to something. It really showed me that the lyrics were not important to this. This is a music-driven song, and the music stands just fine on its own. Especially the fact that there's like a whole solo in the middle of just cowbell. Okay. Christopher Walken got a whole bottle of his prescription for his fever in this song. He got so much cowbell. I was so pleased to hear it. And, that may be mocking a little bit or, teasing it a little bit, but I really like the sound of it. It played out really well. All of this instrument goes together so nicely. It's not disco music, but this is dance music. This is grooving music. This is music that they put on the radio today for that reason. It fits so nicely in what the modern day considers to be classic rock of the 60s and 70s. So the lyrics, there's a little bit of a story there. He's like, you're sleep all day, you're up all night, or out all night. I know where you're going, and I don't think it's right, but she keeps going out. And, the thing that attracted him to her in the first place is the thing that she just couldn't get rid of. The girl needs to dance. She needs to go party. She needs to go and have that wild time. It made him fall in love with her so much in the beginning, but now, it's time to grow up and be adults, and she's not ready for that. She's got to go out to the club. So, fun song. I had a good time with it. What about you, Justin? What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, if you've listened to this podcast, I love guitar-driven songs, and this is no exception on this. The guitar intro is perfect. The guitar almost cries until it goes into that famous... In the intro, it kind of cries and kind of tunes down a little bit till it goes into that famous riff. I've always thought Joe Walsh has one of the most interesting vocals. It's recognizable, especially when you hear it on, a lot of his solo stuff. He's not the best singer in the world by any means. He's kind of got that nasally high pitch, but
it's a bit of a wail, almost a whine, but it's a wail.
Yeah, but it fits. It just fits his stuff good. I thought the bass in this song was really excellent and mixed well. The drumming was very, very strong in this song. Like I said, that recognizable guitar riff throughout. He's using a lot of palm muting on the guitar and playing a lot of staccato chords that are just really choppy and to the point, and that's where you get that funky stuff out of it, And I love the mid-song breakdown where you're talking about those cowbells and things. It sounds like bongos and all kinds of percussion of some kind. It's kind of cool. Then it kicks back into the main riff again, and it goes in to all the guitar riffs. It's mainly an instrumental song with a few throwaway lyrics, and I was kind of wondering what you'd think of this one, being the fact that you always dive deep into lyrics, but
I so do.
But it's pretty straightforward on this. This trollop is going around town, and he loves her, but she can't stop her ways. So I think the lyrics are throwaway. I think the song title's throwaway. But I think what it really shows is when you've got a good song and you can groove to it, then really doesn't matter. Good song, in my opinion. Do you want to get to the song rating?
Let's do that.
Song rating.
Okay, if this is your first time listening, we have a pretty simple scale, 0 to 10. And 10 being the highest, I give this one a solid 8, and I'm a little surprised I gave it that high, considering what we said earlier. I am very much into the lyrics of with my rating and reviewing, and I like the message of songs. This song showed me something, is that you can convey a message through lyrics, or you can convey a message through music and the tune and the instruments. And you don't even need the lyrics. The lyrics can be whatever. Just throw away the lyrics of this song, and it's still a beautiful song. It's still fun. It's still grooving. It's still everything that the hippies want. So that's why I throw this one so high up there, because it showed me a different way of looking at what they're trying to do. Excellent song, I thought. Where do you put this one, Justin?
Yeah, we're right on par on this one. I enjoy this song mostly because of the music in it, the guitar. And Joe Walsh is an amazing guitar player. He really is. He has been, obviously, with the James Gang, with his solo work with the Eagles. He's been a pretty big anchor there as well. So I put this song as an 8 as well. I've really always enjoyed this song. I don't get sick of it. It's on the radio quite a bit, but I haven't ever suffered any ear burn on this one. So I always enjoy when it comes on. It's a good song to crank up and kind of rock out to. So, yeah, always enjoyed the James Gang. And their first 2 albums are pretty decent, really. The first 3 albums are actually pretty decent. I mean, a lot of good guitar music to it.
And if you're not familiar with James Gang,
So that's James Gang, Funk number 49, and send us an email and let us know what you think at classicvinylpodcast@gmail.com. And like always, we really appreciate you taking your time to listen to us because we don't know what we're doing. So hopefully you can help us and tell us. But until next time,
we're just having fun.
we'll see you later. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Classic Vinyl Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Classic Vinyl Podcast for updates, and also share us with your music-loving friends.